You think about hunting, maybe that classic image comes to mind, wide open spaces, easy public access. But uh, for hunters today, the reality feels pretty different, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's getting harder and harder to find those accessible public spots without, well, tripping over other hunters.
Yeah, the pressure is significant.
And hunting clubs, they can be great, but often there's a big price tag or maybe just too many members for the amount of land.
Right. So where do you turn?
Exactly.
And that's really what brings us to today's topic. Private vacant land is it's really emerging as a very compelling alternative for a lot of hunters.
Okay.
So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack what makes it so attractive, what the kind of unique opportunities are, and really importantly, what you need to know to make it work well.
Right. So our mission here is basically to boil down the key stuff from the sources we've looked at, give you a shortcut to understanding why private vacant land isn't just, another option, but potentially a real game changer. What is it that makes it such a powerful shift? So let's dig into that core appeal then. We say lower hunting pressure on private land. What does that actually feel like? How does it change things on the ground compared to public areas?
Oh, it's a night and day difference. It's profound, really. That lower pressure, it completely transforms your approach. You're not just scrambling, hoping to bump into a deer. You're actually building a relationship with that specific piece of land, learning its rhythms. And because it's a controlled environment, you get this unique chance to, well, actively improve the game population there.
Improve it. How so?
Well, you essentially shift roles. You go from just being a hunter to almost being a kind of wildlife manager for that plot. You're directly contributing.
Yeah. That's a big shift, thinking about improving the population itself.
Yeah.
But what about the hunter side of it, the experience?
Yeah.
Does having that control also maybe open up different social opportunities or just ways to enjoy the hunt?
Absolutely. The management part is huge, but the personal experience is just as important, though maybe less talked about. Hunting private land like this, it can be a really unique experience. You can build new relationships, maybe hunt with a specific group of friends you trust, and importantly, you face fewer hurdles if you want to try, say, a new hunting style, or test out some new gear, or hunt from a different kind of stand.
Right. Less judgment maybe, or fewer restrictions.
Exactly. It feels more personal, less like navigating a crowd.
And you mentioned building relationships. That connects to the idea of community, right? The whole who you know aspect must be pretty significant.
Oh, it's vital. It's not just about getting access through someone you know. That local group, that network on private land, it becomes this living database of knowledge. You get real-time information about deer movement, how the weather's affecting things, little quirks of the land, stuff you'd never get from an online map or even a paid lease far away.
Right. That local ground level intel.
That shared wisdom is, well, it's invaluable. And this is crucial too, it adds a real layer of safety.
Safety.
Yeah, just having people nearby who know you're out there or who are familiar faces, that can be a literal lifesaver if you get into a sticky situation.
That makes a lot of sense. So community, knowledge, safety. What about the nuts and bolts, like just getting around? Are there practical advantages there too?
For sure. Think about access methods. On a lot of public land, and even some private leases, things like ATVs or four-wheel drives might be a no-go. Strict rules. But if you have a good relationship with the landowner on private vacant land, you might have much more flexibility. Getting to your stand or hauling out a harvest becomes way easier, saves a ton of time and energy. Now, thinking strategically, probably the biggest single advantage, arguably, of private land hunting versus public, it's the ability to actively manage the deer population as a group.
Manage the population. Okay.
Yeah, and this leads directly to, well, bagging bigger bucks over time.
How's that work?
By growing healthier herds, you do this through selective harvesting, so choosing which specific animals to take, maybe focusing on mature bucks or specific does. Also through careful culling, which sounds harsh, but it means strategically removing maybe weaker animals to improve the overall health and genetics of the herd.
Right. It's about herd health, not just antlers.
Exactly. And combine that with strategic scouting, really learning patterns. The sources we looked at are pretty clear. After just a few years of this kind of management, the buck population can be noticeably better, healthier than on your typical public land.
So that reduced pressure we talked about earlier isn't just nice to have, it actually enables this kind of strategic management.
Precisely.
Because on public land, you often have no idea who else is out there, when or where.
Right, it's unpredictable.
But on private land, maybe you're the only one, or one of just a small group. That must make coordinating things like where people hunt, which stands they use, even giving certain areas a break to cool down much, much easier.
Oh, absolutely. Total coordination is possible. And this level of control, this ability to coordinate, it feeds into what hunters often call the treat it like it's yours philosophy.
Treat it like it's yours.
Yeah, because you have a stake in its long-term health.
Yeah.
Compare that to hunt clubs or public lands. They often have so many rules, so many stipulations, lots of hoops to jump through just for access, let alone making harvest decisions.
Like waiting lists for clubs.
Exactly. Waiting periods, membership caps, those can be real barriers. Private land access, ideally, allows for a more personalized, responsible approach focused on the land itself.
And it's worth just quickly contrasting the public land situation again. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe they don't have strict limits on numbers of people, but
Yeah.
you're sharing that space with everyone, hikers, bikers, people walking dogs.
Right. It's multi-use, which impacts the hunt.
And even within hunting areas on public land, there are often very specific rules. Maybe no hunting with dogs in this section, or only during these hours, or you can't use anything that might harm a tree, like certain stands.
All those little restrictions add up.
They do. And combine that with the potential for overcrowding, and just finding a decent undisturbed spot can be a real challenge. It's not just about finding game, it's navigating all the rules and all the other people.
Okay, so let's say you've found a spot, you've got access to some private land. Now, the really critical part, keeping that access. How do you maintain that relationship? And what's fascinating is how much the sources stress, well, basic people skills. Being a good friend, essentially.
Just being decent.
Pretty much. Going above the bare minimum, showing you genuinely care about the land, about the animals, that speaks volumes to the landowner. It shows responsibility.
That totally makes sense. It's about respect and relationship. And one really concrete way to demonstrate that commitment, one that also helps the landowner maintain the value of their land, is something called quality deer management, or QDM. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah.
Because it's more than just the cliche of letting young bucks walk, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's a common oversimplification. QDM isn't just about antlers. It's really a holistic approach to the ecosystem. It's designed to cultivate a really thriving, healthy deer population that benefits the land and the hunter.
Okay, so what does it involve?
Well, think of it like 4 pillars. There's herd management, balancing the buck-to-doe ratio, managing the age structure for healthier breeding, then habitat management, making sure there's good food, water, cover. Then hunting management, that's where the selective harvest comes in, making responsible choices to meet the herd goals you've set. And finally, herd monitoring, using trail cams, harvest data, observation to track how things are going.
So it's a whole system.
Exactly. It's about building a better, healthier population for the long haul, not just trying to get the biggest rack this one season.
That's a great explanation. Very practical. And besides the management side, what about something simpler, like just sharing the harvest?
Yeah, that's another really powerful way to build goodwill, sharing your kills, especially if the landowner or maybe others in the hunting group really appreciate that kind of land-to-table connection, but maybe aren't as successful themselves. Sharing some venison can be one of the most meaningful gestures. It really reinforces that mutual respect, that bond.
Okay, and the sources also laid out some really crucial tips for hunting private land respectfully. Things every hunter should probably keep top of mind.
Yeah, absolutely essential stuff.
First, always remember it's a privilege. A unique one, not a right you're entitled to.
Crucial mindset,
Practice safe firearm handling. Always be an ethical example.
but not negotiable.
Respect all the landowner's wishes, their rules, any requests they have. And if anything's unclear, just ask. Don't assume.
Communication is key.
Hunt only where they've designated. Use only the roads or trails they specify for driving or parking. Stick to the plan.
Right. Respect boundaries.
And obviously don't litter.
Yeah.
But more than that, maybe pick up any litter you happen to see, even if it's not yours. Show you care.
Leave it better than you found it. Good principle.
And finally, understand you're accessing the property at your own risk. The landowner isn't responsible for your safety or anyone with you. It's built on that mutual trust.
And speaking of risk and trust, this brings us to arguably the single most important practical thing about hunting vacant land. Making sure there's a vacant land insurance policy in place.
Yep.
Yeah. And liability waivers, too. The sources call these waivers a best friend of sorts for both sides, the hunter and the landowner. They provide really critical protection if, heaven forbid, some kind of accident happens.
Right. Protection for everyone involved. And just to give people a concrete idea, one source mentioned the American Hunting Lease Association, the AHLA.
They're a well-known provider.
Yeah. And their policies apparently offer pretty significant coverage. Interestingly, even covering unauthorized people who might wander onto the property and try to sue.
That's a big deal.
They offer next-day coverage, which is convenient. And apparently, the coverage can extend to multiple landowners, up to 7, for free under one policy.
That's flexible.
Plus, you can add an attorney-approved liability waiver right through them for extra peace of mind. And the cost examples given were, you know, pretty reasonable, something like 14 cents or 24 cents per acre annually, depending on the policy details.
Yeah, so protection is accessible. It's not some huge barrier. It's a necessary step for responsible access. So, wrapping things up, it seems clear that hunting private vacant land really does offer some compelling, unique advantages. From better game management possibilities and just more flexibility in how and when you hunt,
Right.
to building those strong relationships with landowners and other hunters, and definitely enhancing safety. It addresses a lot of the pain points modern hunters face.
It really does seem like a comprehensive alternative. And maybe a final thought to leave folks with. Given this whole changing landscape of outdoor access, how might these principles we've discussed, mutual respect, active land management, clear agreements on private land, how might those offer some broader lessons? Lessons for how we share and care for all our natural resources in the future, whether we're hunting or just, enjoying being outdoors.